Oh, Afrisiapa, Happy New Year.
Thank you. I feel committee. I feel say na bibia idi
Wow.
na sika na ba.
Oh,
Na nyame nso ehyira yen.
ah,
Na yakome mu ade nyina nso no wa answer ni nyina ma
like, I'm surprised. You could do tree good like that.
Very well. Yes.
Really?
Yes, I read and speak tree too. And write
Right.
it. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it made it a point for me to make sure I knew how to read and write it.
Oh, then let me start the
Yeah.
conversation here. Were you born in Ghana?
Yes.
How many years did you live in Ghana
Oh,
before
till I was 13 until I got
13?
yeah.
Okay. Before you left to the
Yeah.
USA.
Mm.
Oh, all right. So when you got there, I mean, were you a good, English speaking person?
Yeah, no, so I went to, I guess, what you would consider like an international school, quote unquote.
Okay.
So it's like majority of the kids there were being, I guess, raised or taught in a way that they would be competitive if they ever went out of the country.
Okay.
Because some of the kids in the school were actually born abroad and their parents came there for work or whatever purpose. So they still wanted to teach them almost on the same level as foreign and international schools.
Okay.
Yeah, English wasn't an issue, it was just the accent.
Okay.
Yeah, so I even told Sandra an experience when I went there because they have a, what is it called? ESL, English as a second language.
Okay.
And when they find out that you're an immigrant, they don't care. They just push you through down there, whether you are good or you are not good.
Okay.
I took a placement test and I placed very, very high, but they still will not put me in a regular English class.
Okay.
And I was quite mad. I was pushing for my mom. It's like, it's okay, fine. If they put you in regular class for everything else and just for English, don't worry. And see, only 1 week, I mean, ESL, the teacher's like, you are wasting the girl's time. So then he was the same teacher for ESL 2.
Okay.
So then he decided to then put me in ESL 2 and realized they're wasting my time. So they ended up putting me into the regular English that all my peers were in for our grade year.
Did you have the desire from that early age to travel abroad?
Not like I had the desire, but my mom was there. So I just knew we were always going to join her.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've always known that we were going to go.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I see. So you did have that good taste of Ghana before you left. And usually, you were complaining. You did complain about a bit of Ghana, right?
I did, yes.
Okay. When you got to the state for the first time at the airport, I don't know, wherever you
Airport was cleaner. So I landed in, so we did a transit to Amsterdam. And then from Amsterdam, we went to Minnesota direct.
Okay.
Yeah, in St. Paul.
Okay.
Obviously, the old airport, way before Terminal 3, the old airport is the one you walk to. It's so close to the plane. Whereas over here, you don't do that. Over there, you don't do that. And, it was quite different. Yeah. And
did you go like, wow?
Yeah, and it's, when I got there too, it's very clean. Yeah, and I was like, hey, this one there, I've really landed. Oh, this is real America. I didn't land. I've landed. But we had gone around. It was in April when we got there. So it was early springtime. So it was very hot, and not yeah, I dream. We had been indoctrinated that it's always cold. So
you had some.
I had a like a blazer on, not a jacket, but like a blazer. So it wasn't too bad. But the way I was burning, hey, I had to take that thing off when the sun was burning. I was like, what's this?
Does it? Do you have sun there too?
Yeah, so, hey, really? What do you mean? So we have 4 seasons.
Oh, no, we thought like it's always cold out there.
No.
Really?
Yeah, we have 4 seasons. Right now it's winter time, but,
Oh, you don't mean it?
Yeah, we have winter, summer, autumn, and spring.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see it.
And the summers get worse than here. The summers, 100 degrees, it gets burning, pa. It start like blazing. It's really, really hot. To a point you can't even enjoy outside.
Okay.
Because if you go outside, the sun is so scorching. It's not even like Ghana from film kakra, like from not like film, but it's very, very stiff. I'm like, wait, what's this? You try lots of trees, not off too. So
I see.
It's not
bringing you back in Ghana, 13 years in Ghana as an early child, or let me put it. You go to the kitchen, you are made to prepare stuff. Yeah. Do little things to help, your mom or your parents. You go fetch water, you go to the kitchen to cook and all that. Wasn't that your experience back in Ghana?
That was not my experience, no.
In Ghana?
No,
for the 13 years?
No.
Oh, really?
So like not to brag or anything like that, but again, the American dollar holds value, right? Inti me mama wa abrochre. My mom left when I was 4.
Okay.
So by the time I got to an age where I made to me as one, so anything like that, my mom had built a house and we were living in the house and we had house helps.
Okay.
So and then later on, even a couple times now, when we had house helps, not we were building our house at the time. We were living at my uncle's house in Medina.
Okay.
While we were building our house in Bochenti. So I was the house helps that were so that wasn't really my experience. And then when we moved to my mom's house, they were still building to install like a manhole, something like that. And so they would use that for like the washing and the bathroom things. And near taught and so like there's a truck that come and pours water in the poly tank for like drinking and the other things. And see, it wasn't really my experience to carry water or anything like that. Yeah.
And I'm not sure you even went to the market for any shopping.
No. I used to go to my grandmother for that experience. I didn't like it, not because it was bad. Me na bet to me bagani, and I actually feel embarrassed because. So I'm a type of person, I'm a fair person. I mean, now that me, me who's okay, she was right because right? But at the time as a young kid, you don't understand the concept of money and bargaining. Into Yakom market, I will never forget this experience because I went home and I tell my mom all the time. I was really embarrassed. No, koto woman for fufu.
Okay.
One man a guy and I said 20,000. This is the old money.
Yeah, 20 cities.
Before, I said 20,000. Guess how much me now bargaining the price to? 2,000. So that I was so embarrassed because I was like, geez, because in my head, I know she has the money. You know, so in my head, like Tiaka na wa bargaining sa no jinaho, and then she'll even be like, on ton dia miko before from many before even 1,000. I'm like, bro, the thing is 20,000. You brought it down to 2,000 and you are still even doing shakarabi, like what's that? Later on, she ended up paying 1,008, but when 2,000 in because Okasha guy and said, guy never to me the anantia kwako to your car ni nana. Like guy said, no, we have to carry on. See if we have to carry it back to the car ourselves now, that will cost the guy 200. Into Otia 1,008. Into no ye drew car ni mo pay. And then I was like, oh, auntie, we call my grandmother auntie, or my late grandmother now. I'm still auntie, like I don't know why answer. I said one more foot and time way. That was her exact word. I can never forget it. One more foot and time way now. Yeah, but maybe I bet you also call, so later on she explained to me that a lot of times it would be cheaper. And if you just let them, if you pay whatever value they give you, you honestly just be broke. So she gave me that mindset, always bargain.
So this is something that happened down here.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to the States. Do you have such an experience where you do this kind of bargaining stuff?
We don't bargain over there. The price is on the thing. If you can't afford it, you don't pick it up. It's simple as that.
But people are yearning so much to be there.
Huh?
So if I go to the shop and it's $10, my friend, be ready to pay.
Or don't buy it. It's if you can't afford it, don't buy it. That's why it comes in different sizes. If you can afford the smaller size, you buy that. If the medium size, you buy that. I think the only time I've ever bargained anything was a clothing store, right? So for example, if there's a zipper that's broken or there's a stain or there's a little thing,
something,
I know I can fix it for maybe I'll take it to the tailor and do alteration for $10. But say the item is $100 and I'll go to you and be like, hey, can you give me a discount because there's a little issue with it? And they'll probably say, okay, you get maybe 20% off or 30% off because it's an issue because it's not in this original package.
Yeah.
So that would be about the only time I've ever done those kind of bargains is, but not with food or not with those kind of things like that. Because a lot of times you get the option for sales and also coupons and discounts. And really, technically, if you're a stream couponer, you can really just get your discounts on your own.
Okay.
So we don't bargain. Whatever price you get is what you get.
Right. If you're doing the listing, I guess as a Ghanaian, being a sister or rather out there, you're getting to know the difference of what goes on here and out there. So you don't be on that hype. Status. I want to travel. The one you go, no bargaining. That is one. You don't bargain.
No.
So here you could go to the roadside and they tell you goat meat is going for this much, and you're like, hey, no boy, on so.
Then you won't eat.
You won't eat. Thank you. So be ready out there. Now let's go to the other difference. Here, the big thing you do as a child, you are scolded or you be beaten or. Do you get it? How is it out there?
African parents still beat their kids in their households, so a lot of the parents still maintain it. But I think the way they now discipline their children, you have to be very careful. So I think it's also the kind of freedom you give your child. Just don't make your child think that any little thing they can, they can call the cops on you or anything like that. It's, I feel like that children that know. So for example, like my little sister, I have another little one. She was born there. And when she does certain things, she just know for a fact. Like, we don't accept that in our household. Even though those are things that her white friends, Indian, Asian friends, it's quite acceptable in their households. It's not acceptable in our households because they know for a fact that, So it's how you raise your child. And also it's starting from the beginning, right? You don't wait until they're a certain age and they're no longer teachable. And their brains are almost like they're no longer moldable. And then you now want to come and tell them this and that. Because like my little sister always say, one thing is they'll always ask you why. Because they have rights as human beings. And also...
But do you see much right stuff in a Ghanaian society?
Oh, absolutely not. So I'm always the middleman because in a sense, I left where I learned so much that it'd be a little bit difficult to almost change me in the American way. But at the same time, I've now lived more of my life over there than here. So I also understand that. And so whenever there's that disconnect between my mom and my little sister, I'm always the middle person. I try to make my mom remember that, Madam, we no longer live in the bad days, Ghana. And then I also make my little sister remember that we might be living in America, we're Americans, but we're also Ghanaians first. And so there are certain things and certain cultures that we're never going to do away with. So pretty much you both have to come to a middle ground and respect that.
Let me take you off, in the picture. That is, not considering yourself as a Ghanaian, but to say, American, a white person. Do they have that culture where they kind of beat their kids when they go wrong, comparable to what happens here in Ghana?
Comparable to what happens here in Ghana, some parents do, including white parents, they actually beat their kids, not as much as black parents. Black parents actually spank their kids.
Oh, they spank
with
them.
Their hands or with the belt if they can find or whatever.
Demonstrate very well. Is it there? Have you experienced the Ghanaian one?
So
they will kick you and...
I was what you would consider almost sort of like the good kid. I don't like pain. So I just always stayed on the path and narrow. I see I'm a person that learns from other people's mistakes. I don't want to make that mistake first. So if I see my cousin receiving that slap, you think I want to go and experience? Please, I beg. No,
so the white spank, but they don't do just as we do.
Yeah, no, it's not as severe as we used to do. I've heard that it has gone down, especially like in schools. We no longer flog kids here. Yeah, over there, obviously they never flog kids, but and because the thing too is child abuse is quite huge. So like, people that are considered vulnerable are children, the elderly, and animals, right? Because they can't fight for themselves. So,
thank you for bringing my mind on. Their, should I say, priorities when it comes to rights is what? Kids?
Children, the elderly, and animals. Right, because they are considered vulnerable. They can't talk back. They can't fight for themselves.
And so
people are always looking out for them, right? So, for example, say your kid was acting up, like the olden times in Ghana. Your parents can slap you and you go to school and they see the slap mark on your face. The teacher is going to call the police and CPS, Child Protective Services. They're not going to come and review everything. They'll not be coming to your house left and right almost on a daily for a good 60 days to find out why the kid had that mark on their face. And if you're abusing them, and if they conclude that you're abusing them, they'll take your kid away from you, and then the child will be sent to the foster system. So until your child is 18 years old, or if the child emancipates themselves, your child is considered a warden of the state. If the child is an American citizen, the child is not yours.
Yours again, yeah?
No, you give birth to a child over there, your child is not yours. They're the warden of the state, as in their welfare is more important to the state. And so it's been, I know that a lot of times there are a few legal journals that go about, and I think mainly the people that write and tend to read them are always like the immigrants, because it's almost sort of that issue of, you want me to assimilate so much into the American culture that I might end up raising my child without knowing who they are and where their background is. But at the same time, you also cannot be forcing people to almost kind of like ignore it. But you also, it's a dichotomy. You have to pretty much play safe and find that middle ground. And you know, so it's like try your best. It's almost like trying to make an American kid see America see Ghana while they're in America. Because it's easier to raise a Ghanaian kid in Ghana to accept the Ghanaian culture because everyone is doing it around them.
Yeah.
Right? But
when you go to
by giving them Ghana in America, it's not because they don't see it. They, like I said, for example, my little sister, her biggest question is always why.
Why are you beating me?
Or
why are you doing this?
Why must this be this way?
Okay.
Why must that be that way?
But here it's like the elderly tells you, and that's it. You.
Oh yeah, over there we don't do that. So hey, what do you mean the elderly? Just because they believe respect is earned. It's not given just by age.
Oh
yes.
Oh, so we could just walk off the studio right now and then see a child and be like, hey, go and sit down.
They will look at you and be like, why? The first question they'll ask is why.
Why? Why are you telling me to go and sit down?
So they might listen to you, but you have to explain to them why you're telling them to sit down.
Yeah, no.
Because you're not always right. And sometimes it's true that you're not always right, but we just listen because you're adults.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
Again, bringing to the minds of the people doing the listening now that in America or in the advanced countries, there's child rights.
Yeah.
The elderly and then animals.
Pets. They're considered a vulnerable population.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So the rights that protect them are very, very strong. And people are always looking out for these people because they are easily abused in a sense.
And it seems is the opposite.
Or disabled people too. So there's that because again, these are vulnerable people.
I think it's the opposite, over here.
Yeah.
Kids are not giving that much when we think they are kids. They will be, hey, my goodness. Even when you have something sensible to contribute, or say you were a kid. So it means you don't have that matured mind to speak out something or offer anything. Oh, I see. So those of you, again, we're doing a chat. So as what goes on here and what goes on out there. So you can be educated and know, some decisions to be made when you are deciding on where you so want to be. And, I know fellow diasporas who want to live in Ghana. This is it here too. Okay? Yeah, so we're telling you what happens here in Ghana as against what you have also being in the States. All right, so let's come back to this. When you go to school, as in America, huh? What happens there? Are you given lots of homework to do?
Oh yeah, no. So school is not really forced on people like it is over here, right?
And explain that. What do you mean?
It's a right in this sense that every child should be educated. So it's actually against the law that a child of school age, if they're not in school, and you decide maybe as a parent you want to homeschool your child, you have to follow the homeschooling things and all of that. There are laws. Basically, no child left behind is a very big thing over there. So, for example, when I came here and I kept seeing, it was like in the afternoon, I'm like, why is a kid hawking on the streets during like school time hours? It's not possible. So every child must be in school. Every child must, go to school. Whatever the school setting is, you must be in school. You have to get some form of education. They're very big on maintaining like a very high literacy rate because all of that adds up to the country being seen as a most powerful country, right? An educated country is easier for them to move forward versus you don't have an educated country. A lot of things that are happening today, if you're well educated, you're able to, I think, grasp certain concepts that the non-educated definitely don't have access to. So, for example, like voting rights and things like that. If you're not educated, how do you know what your rights are? You know what I mean?
Right.
So how can you even read certain things and stuff? So like over there, but the difference is while you're in school, a teacher cannot force you to learn if you don't want to learn.
Oh.
Yeah, I was given an example that I wanted to, when I came back, I wanted to go see if one of my school teachers was still there, but she was quite old. So I think, no, I met a former classmate that I went to school, my childhood friend. She actually told me that, no, the teacher she thinks has passed. she, and I give Sandra the example, she actually used to beat me, and not because I was not doing well, but so to her, she said she saw potential in me. So for example, we'll take an exam and some of my classmates will score maybe a 78 or 80. And then she will say anybody that gets below a 90, you get like one flogging, like a one cane lash or something. And then if you get like below a 85, 2 or something like that, right? Whatever you're missing, you get like 1 or 2 based on the thing. I scored 92. Madam still called me up and caned me twice. I didn't understand. She told me that I wasn't supposed to rank myself on the same level as the other students because she knew that I could have gotten 100 and therefore I should have gotten 100. So the priority that she had for me, and also sort of like the word is, yeah, she put me on a certain pedestal. And she told me I couldn't compare myself to my fellow classmates because she knew I could do better. And so for her way of fostering it is requiring so much of me than requiring it of others when she knew that was not their thing. But over there, as I mentioned in the beginning, is when I went there, because they thought I was an immigrant coming in, they automatically assumed that I didn't know much.
Anything, yeah.
Obviously, they knew that I spoke English very well. So they knew that my grammar was good, but I had a heavy accent.
Okay.
So they didn't really, I don't know whatever their mindset is, and however Ghana has been painted, they just thought I was going to be behind. And so I'd go to class, and then I'd be sleeping or dozing off and not focusing or paying attention.
So hold on for me. So it wouldn't matter, your certificate, either you attain master's degree or whatever from developing countries. When you get there, you're still given a cap. You put into a certain kind of perception that okay, where they are coming from, they are immigrants, so they are not that good. They don't match.
So not as now. Obviously now people are learning more about African countries and realizing that there are more educated people over there. So sometimes they are now coming here to even outsource some of our best of the best and offering them salaries that are from overseas so that they have better lives. So before, sure, at that time when we still, social media wasn't a thing then. So they didn't have access to all of that. And they didn't have that knowledge of us having really bright minds in this country or in the African continent as a whole. And so that's where that issue would come in, where literally my mom, that they're not sure. So initially they set up an appointment. They thought I was, one thing about it is emotional well-being is very huge. So they thought I was being abused or I was depressed or something like that because I barely spoke in class. I was always sleeping. And then they just, so at the end, I think it was like I think in Minnesota, we do trimesters. So at the end of the trimester, they'll give us a quiz or a test, and then I'll write it and then I'll pass. So then the teacher was like, okay, they're not sure. Maybe I'm depressed, but I'm still grasping. I'm antisocial. I just don't want to like communicate. And I was like, no, I'm bored. Like these are all stuff that I've already learned, because for us in Ghana, education is like literally like beaten into our system, for lack of a better term. Like it's so ingrained into us because it's very important to us. And over there, if like child doesn't want to learn, you cannot force them. And education is also a way of like being there. Being cool is considered the popular kid. So you don't have to be smart to be popular or cool, right? But here, I remember that being popular or cool is when you were actually getting the high scores. Because when you take your exams and you take your test, they put the scores, the notice outside. Everyone in the school knows your scores. So you can't be walking around talking anyone like big girl, big guy like that. And then they're like, oh, now I'm born now with that red line. I say, you know what I mean? And see, over there, the only way, and I remember that even the criteria to become girls prefect in our school was you had to be the top 3 girls, or for the boys like that. And see, you always know your lane, like, so you don't just become popular and just run for a certain position. Your actual educational attainment also like was required. But when I went there, the guy that plays the football that's not very smart is a popular guy. The girl that's a cheerleader is a popular girl, but she's not actually doing well in class, right? And see, there was a shift and a change for me. And not like I was expecting to be popular or anything like that. But when I met the popular people and then I had classes with a few of them, I was like, I don't want to use this. It's not a nice term, but you are very daft. Like, I don't understand this. Please, can someone please explain to me how you became popular? I don't get it. Like, because you will not be, in a sense, you actually be mocked for being dumb in Ghana. So for us, Ghana education is very, very important to us. If you want to become anything or anyone, they've told you your education is like the first step to everything like that. But over there, no.
It's not.
It's not.
It's what you can do.
Right.
Your capabilities. Being a footballer, a basketball player, or whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got my first job at 14 and a half. So like my very first year while I was there. And freshman year is when the teacher came, and then so later on when they had the conversation and I spoke with the teacher and they started asking me questions because they thought I was depressed, and then I just explained to them, I'm not depressed, I'm bored. And they were like, what do you mean you're bored? I'm like, everything they're teaching me I already know. I learned when I was younger. And they were like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. In Africa, I'm like, yeah. They taught me all of these things, and you are, so in a sense you're catching up to me, not the other way around. So you're actually like diminishing my light by putting me in like this place, and I'm stagnant. So they started putting me in honors and AP classes. So I started taking classes with higher level. So as a freshman, which is like a 9th grader, I was taking classes with sophomore, juniors, and seniors. And it was in that I ended up tutoring. So in order to play on the football team, because the football team, it brings money to the school.
Like football? The
American football, not in order to play on that, it brings a lot of money to the school. They get a lot of fundings and donations and things like that. My math teacher, the teacher that took a liking to me, Mr. Zajcek, he realized that I'd be bored in class. So during class time, I was getting credits for it. But I was actually using it to tutor he was a football coach. So I was using it to tutor the football students. Actually, because you need to maintain a C average. For me.
How do you pronounce that?
What?
We pronounce it tutor.
Tutor.
Thank you. All right, so that was it. Okay, so back at uni, do you cook?
I think was it you that asked, or someone that asked you yesterday at church?
I was like, today we got it taking some jollof.
No, my freshman year, I lived in a dorm. So the dorms, we don't have kitchens. We have micro fridge. So mainly you just eat the...
Hey, micro fridge. Somebody asking, what's that?
It's a microwave on top of a small mini fridge in the dorm room. So it just
micro fridge.
So mainly it was meant for just warming up food and obviously storing food, because if you're living on campus your first year, all of us are required to get meal plans, and so we eat the foods from the dining hall that they cook for us. And then when you become an upper level, which is your second year and up, you then can move out of the dorms. So you move out of the dorms into the school apartments. It comes with kitchens. And then you can cook from there. So while I was on campus, yes, I did cook.
You did cook.
But I don't cook now because I have an aversion for cooking. I've been cooking I won't say all my life, but ever since I moved there, I've been cooking, so I'm tired. And I don't have the time.
And is that not part of the requirement from the opposite sex coming your way, or who would come your way?
Which opposite sex? It depends on the race.
Oh, you female, right? So when I say opposite sex, I mean male.
But when I was asking which, I meant like what race? Like what race are they? So the African,
white.
So like when I'm asking what race, it depends on the race. In that white guys do not necessarily require you to be cooked. They grew up in a household when their mom was feeding them McDonald's. Their mom can't cook. How can you be requiring me to cook? And so
people, did you understand that? So for us, our mothers taught us to cook. So when you're going for a woman, require that she also knows to cook. But out there, it's not like that.
It's not a requirement necessarily. But the African guys, some do, some don't. Some are a little bit more open to the idea that there are women that do not cook. And
so they better know how to cook themselves.
Right. Or if both of you don't know how to cook, you better learn how to order. You better learn how to grab your phone and hello, delivery.
When you call your mom in Africa to tell her that, Mom, I found that beautiful lady I want to marry, don't be astonished or surprised. You would ask you, does she know how to cook?
No, I'm not surprised. No, I have met a couple. No, I've in my course of dating, I have met a couple African guys, because I tend to also keep myself in the African communities quite a lot. I've met a couple African guys that have asked if I know how to cook or anything like that. But also it's
not a culture there.
Right. Some actually no. Some still require it, like very typical, like here. My thing is I'm not like giving you wife skills, if you're not giving me husband, right? You get what I mean? So
reposition yourself.
Exactly. So if you come visit me at my apartment in school, right? If I had already cooked, as a guest, I'm gonna offer you what I cooked. But say, for example, if we were married, right, and what I cooked you didn't want, you get to tell me what you want to eat, and then I cook for you.
Okay.
But if we're just dating, you don't get to tell me what to cook for you. Do you pay my bills?
No.
Exactly. So when you start paying my bills as a husband, I will also be performing wife duties for you.
In Africa, it's not about do you pay my bills. Men are responsible, Corley, taking that responsibility of whoever they live with, being a husband and a wife.
Right.
That
is understandable. But when you're dating, that's not your wife.
Yeah. So that's a different dimension I'm coming in with. Okay. Telling that this is how we do it here. A husband takes care of the home. Out there in the States, is it like that?
It's common. It's an agreement. Again, I think it's different for every couple. Right. Okay. For me, and again, I can only speak for myself and also a few of my friends. So I have majority of my friends are
not married. So those marriages you have observed.
Yeah, my friends that are married, for example, like one of my friends, Ghanaian Stephanie, she's more of like the old school kind.
Okay.
Where she works, but she works from home. She has 2 kids now.
Okay.
Her husband goes to work, and so when the husband comes home, she she's made sure the home is good. There's food and everything like that, right? But all the time when they were dating, that was what they agreed to, that was going to be their lives. Like I could even tell when they were dating that he was going to be the man of the head of the household, quote unquote. No, I don't really want to use that term because I think being the head of the household without bringing money does not make you a head.
So I just want that clear, difference.
So the thing is, it's more stricter here. Over there is acceptable. So no woman is going to say that, oh, I don't want to. But the difference is some people, we're not strict about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not strict about it. So for example, if like I'm saying, I'm more malleable, right? So if I'm marrying a guy and the guy is, for example, say I'm marrying a white man. And he is not.
No, why not me? You just facing me. So, for example, if you marry
no, because I have to give an example of 2 different kinds. So, say if I was marrying a white man, and he is bringing money home and things like that, and say I decide I'm gonna work, and he still wants to pay the bills and do all of that stuff. So I tell him we both go to work and we both come home, but you're paying majority of the bills. And I don't feel like working. I don't feel like doing the house chores. We're just gonna get a maid service to come clean the house and do anything like that. I can tell him, hey, I don't feel like doing this, or I don't feel like doing that. They are more acceptable to that because again, that's their lifestyle. They've always had help, and their moms never really did it unless their moms never worked. So normally it's easier for the old school kind when the woman does not work at all. Well, it is work being home, but I mean like, earning a certain income from outside. Right. So her house chores becomes her work. But if you're going to work and I'm going to work, it becomes a point where while the woman is still doing certain duties that we think of that are associated with women, sometimes it's almost sort of like whoever came home first does it. So it's like, oh, you came home first, and I'm not home. You can put rice in the rice cooker, and
you can wash the utensils.
Right, exactly. Like you don't wait for me to come home to come and cook. Your hands are not broken. Please.
Hey, come to Ghana. The husband will be waiting for the wife.
And you go hungry, please. Go hungry.
Baby, what are you saying?
You go hungry.
Why should I do that? You know, good wife.
Hey.
What my worry will come have married you.
So then I'll stay home.
Hey, abandoned.
Wait, no, I'm asking you. I don't know me know we know ejuma. Now me sambe fie no mababe no aduane wo fie. Now I didn't know so ba fie na na so to me be.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to get more hotter. I'm going to face her squarely. We'll be right back after this. Pause.